Okay. All right, I think we are live and good to go. Oh, okay. Thought my music went out, but it's fine. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Do I have water? I do. Great. Cool. We're mad chilling. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm really cold. It has been warm the past few days, and now it has gotten cold again, which I don't love. Alright, I think that's all I need up. Cool, so we're back with another programming stream. Yeah, sorry, my coffee is still is not kicked in yet, so I'm still struggling a little bit here. So I worked on this a little bit last weekend, I think. And please let me know if the music's too loud. It feels like it's loud, but hard to tell. I think it's fine. Anyways, so what we're working on now is finishing up the little checklist I have for images, which are almost done. So all we need to do basically right now is add the ability to remove the images. And it said it might be hard, but we're gonna figure it out. I don't think it's very hard. The basic gist here is that we are, let me move my webcam actually. Yeah, because this is right in the view of the simulator, right? I think it's fine here. Anyways, so all we're going to be doing basically is displaying a little X here to allow you to remove images, and all I'm going to do there is it's just going to splice the array the images are stored in currently. So the images are currently stored in here in the images we have a useState hook. So it should be as simple as us it should be as simple as us just splicing the array to remove that element, or popping that element from the array, however you want to call that. So that should be easy. Displaying the little image to create the X, I think, is gonna be a little bit harder, but that's what I was looking at doing, I think, when I last left off. I wasn't super diligent about taking notes when doing that, or at least I don't think I was. Excuse me. Let me double check that actually. My Notion will load over to my daily work notes. I did make notes here. Yeah, I still don't know how I'm going to be storing form or data in the tabletop form. Something to worry about. It's fine for now, basically. Yeah, there's a certain amount of me that's like, well, maybe I just shouldn't do this. I should focus on some other things, but I don't think this should take too long. I've said that before and I've been wrong, so let's see. So what we're going to do is just follow the Stack Overflow answer, so they're just trying to look. What is this person doing? There's a specific component to wrap elements in an image as an image background. Go to the following official documentation. All right. A common feature request from developers familiar with the web is background image. To handle this use case, you can use the image background component, which has the same props as image, and add whatever children you would like to layer on top of it. Great. You might not want to use image background in some cases since the implementation is basic. Refer to image background source code for more insight and create your own custom component when needed. Note that you must specify some width and height style attributes. Okay, so that seems pretty straightforward. And you can just put children inside of it. Great, well, that's what we want exactly. So let's go to where we're rendering our images, which we made a function for that, render image. So this should be image background. Cool, that got imported. I'm having a hell of a time trying to find out where all these functions are. I don't know why that's so difficult for me. What's going on, Lumjacker? How's it going? Oh no, my Spotify's in the way of things. Oh, and thanks for the follow, Lumjacker. I appreciate it. Let me change that back to here. Great. How's your Saturday morning going? I guess if it is morning where you are. Okay, so we're rendering the image background. So this can mostly stay the same. Well, we'll need, so we're gonna have to make a button basically that, making a button that will remove the image. So this should be touchable opacity. I won't do the on click just yet. I'm simply gonna have this be, for right now, this is gonna be a placeholder, just literally the letter X. It's an on press or on magic tab? No, it's on press. On press I think has types though as to what that's supposed to be. The event is a gesture responder event. So I should be able to, oh, the problem is here is that you need to, I need to have access to the state variable. So I should have render image take a parameter here. This is mostly just useless abstraction, to be honest. On remove button press. Should take an event. Is it gesture event? Just select. Gesture responder event. And then, oh my god, can return any, well, should return void actually. Shouldn't return anything. Are you building the next Snapchat? No. If you're interested in what I'm building, actually, you can go ahead and I have a little command. Oh, I have 2 bots running right now. Fuck. Hold on. Allow me to fix that. Anyways, you can click on that link and it'll give you, that's the Trello board, so where everything I'm working on, and also gives a description of the app. But the long and short of it basically is that it's a like a check-in based social media app, so something along the lines of like Goodreads and Untapped. I think both work very similarly in this way, but for more along the lines of board games and that sort of stuff. Where is that getting run? All right, I'm gonna stop this. If my stream crashes, I apologize. Okay, well, it didn't crash, I don't think. Let me... God dang it. Console window host. Well, this sucks. Sorry, I have another bot that I was like working on. That I was working on using instead of Nightbot, but I was having some issues with it, so I wasn't worrying about it. However, it seems that it has started and is running as a background process because I don't have a command prompt window open right now, but I can't effing find it. How do I stop this? What? I don't know how to kill background command processes. Task kill command. Task list. Oh no. Can I shut it down from the panel? Sorry, y'all. I really hate to be doing this right now, but I don't want to have double bots. Settings, bot. Let's turn custom commands off. Okay, in theory, this is fine, I think, for now. It's kind of a bullshit solution. Anyways, what's going on, Dylan? How's it going, dude? For now, this is only planning on being a mobile app. Yeah, there perhaps will be a web app component, but I don't want to think about it right now because this is the sort of thing that you'll likely only be using on your phone, and I'm forcing that, right, because I'm not allowing non-mobile apps. But yeah, mobile app only for right now. Okay, so on press should take on remove button press. We'll pass it E. We should also pass it the index. Or no. That doesn't need to happen because it already has the index. So now we're calling this here. So render image now is going to take okay, so we now need to go ahead and run set images, and then we need to go ahead and do like, how can we get rid of one? Is it just, can we literally just pop? That's the last element. I don't want to reduce. We get splice. That probably works. Yeah, we probably splice. Well, if splice does it in place, I don't want that. This should be I. We're moving the element at that. Okay, so in theory, that just does it in place. Okay. And then it just calls that on press. Image background. Okay, so I think that works on a base level. Yep, there's our shitty little X's. That didn't do anything. Unexpected token. Let me reload. Okay, then we go ahead and add photos. No, that's not working. All right, why is that not working? Oh, wait a second. No, I'm dumb. I'm just not realizing how splice works. Well, no. Returning deleted elements. It doesn't affect the base array, though, I bet. I need to double check that. No, it does. It changes the contents of an array. Yeah, so this should work. So if we have 4 images, I'm doing wrong things. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 images. Length is 0. The 0 base location in the array from which to start removing elements. Okay. Should just do 1, right? If I don't provide a number. If greater than the length of the lay start will be set to the length of the array. If negative, it will begin that many elements from the end of the array. Okay, sure. Delete count is omitted. Oh, whoops. Okay, you actually have to specify a delete account. I was assuming wrong defaults. We're only deleting 1, starting at that. So this should work now. All right, so I'll just go ahead and throw 4 photos up. That's odd. Set images is how we change the state, correct? Yeah. That's really odd. So the old image's length is going down, right? So that should be correct, but it's not rendering anything different. Does this show me the state at all? Check in optional items. Hide inspector. Okay, this is probably where we want to do. I'm gonna go ahead and launch the dev tools. Do I have a standalone version of this? I thought I installed that. I didn't mess with this too much though, so I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna get this smaller. So I can't use the reactive tools here. Okay, so I want to do that. So let's leave this. If I open up a new tab and then we do, is it React Dev Tools? Great. What's going on, Death Priest? So, okay, so your first question is this, am I using the same software I'd use at work? Yes, almost entirely. So I don't do React Native at work, to be clear. I am mostly a React developer, and I also do like PHP stuff on the back end. But in terms of like things I prefer using, like I use Visual Studio Code at work. I use a Mac at work also. So yes, I'm basically the same there, yeah. What's the easiest way to know what type of work is the most abundant? So I will preface these by saying that like I'm only a little under 2 years into my like software development career. I graduated college 2 years ago, so I will answer what I can, but please don't think this is, you know, obviously this isn't representative of everyone ever. So as far as the easiest way into it, that I don't know. So like I went, I'd say a very traditional way, and had a 4-year college education in computer science. I got an internship for a software company, and then I got offered a full-time job, and then I'm working there now. So like I think I have a very traditional entry sense. Yeah. So yeah, I got an internship in between my junior and senior year. But like that said, I have a friend of mine who graduated from a boot camp and did not complete his 4-year degree at college, and just did a boot camp and got hired, and is like, working and is getting paid. So, and I think the boot camp route is increasingly more common, but I don't have experience with like doing the boot camp myself, obviously. So, and as far as what work is the most abundant, I think there's everything. I don't know if I have a good answer for that. Did it do it? Oh, so I have to turn off this debugging. Sorry. So I do web development, basically, is what I do. And I think there's a lot of that in general. What is going on here? So, but I'm sure there's other things. I just don't have experience in like the other like parts of app development. I'm sure there is demand for most things though. But yeah, I couldn't say like, I couldn't give you a specific thing that's most in demand, Yeah, and yeah, so like in demand skills, it depends on what you're doing, right? So like in web development, like I would say you probably should try and be learning a like component-based web framework. So like React or Vue or Angular, like, not every web development shop is using those right now, but like that's a really good, a lot of them are. And if you like know React, then like that's a really good marketable skill, because like a fuck ton of people are using React. So, but yeah, it just depends. Like I couldn't tell you like, so, I'm using React Native here. I don't know how the world of mobile development looks. I don't know what the skills are needed, any of that, because I'm just doing this on the side. So, and I also haven't worked at a lot of places, right? So I don't know, but like, yeah, like React, again, a component-based web framework is going to be, I think those are really big right now. So React is probably the biggest one out of that, but like, I don't think you should, you don't have to necessarily limit yourself to React. Like Angular and Vue are also used. So, but that's for web development. As far as backends go, I don't know. People use everything. We use PHP at work. A lot of people use Node on their backend as well, so they're using JavaScript for everything. It just depends. Okay, so check in optional items. Great, we have a state now. Yay, that actually helps. Okay. Thank you, Reactive Tools. Make this a little bigger. All right. Let's go ahead and throw 4 photos on there. Boom, we have 4 photos. All right, so nothing's happening here. Nothing is happening, so... Now, is this because render image is outside of the thing? So this was my other concern, basically, is that I don't know if this is an issue. The render image is being defined outside of the component. So let's go ahead and put it in there and see if it works. That's my next hunch. Oh, wait, no, it's getting defined in the component. Never mind, I'm a dumb. Which that means actually we can just go ahead and... we don't actually need to make this into a separate function. We can go ahead and take what we had defined there and then... no. And sorry, Death Priest, for your earlier question that I skipped over, how do you actually find a job? So yeah, like, again, I went the very traditional way of doing internship-wise. I mean, I think it's a lot of just, like, you got to look for places and start applying, from what I understand. Internship into full-time is, like, a really common thing, but Also, that's like a lot more suited towards like traditional four-year college applicants. Like if you're not a traditional four-year college applicant, then like I think it's a lot of just like, you know, networking with people and like keep an eye open on job boards and that sort of stuff. Because I think there's a lot of that. If you browse Hacker News at all, they have like a who's hiring thread that they post, I think, every week. So like that's always a good place to look. I believe I'm sure other subreddits do this too. The React subreddit, I believe, has a who's hiring / like job search thread that they do every week also. So there are outlets for it. Okay, so I'm just going to take this entire function. And we're going to put it... and this is index. Great. Did it magically start working? What happened here? I don't know how that got down to 2. All right, let's pick 4 photos again. Probably should add some sort of loading while that's happening also. Yeah, what's going on there? Oh, it says state array 3. Why is that not re-rendering then? So if you notice here, so my state hook shows that it's an array of 3 things, but there are 4 images being shown right now. So I don't know what's going on there. That's still logging. So I think... I don't understand why this isn't re-rendering. Let me Google this. Let me give a quick search here. I'm gonna keep this open because I might need to do some styling stuff, but I think that should be pretty straightforward now. Remove element from React, use state array. Yeah, you just splice. Oh, I have to make a separate copy. Is that the problem? I forgot I wasn't explicitly doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if that was what the issue was. Okay, so let's go ahead and reload to make sure that that went through. We can go ahead and add a check-in. Go ahead and add our photos. Yeah, we'll need to add some sort of loading thing. Task orphan for request. Okay, I don't know why that was happening, but it worked. It just took a really long time. Why did that take so long? This is adding a to-do. You just splice. To splice set to-dos. Does that work? You're not creating a new variable. What's going on, Jack? Yeah, they gotta take a while, right? So you can be really sure that you want to delete. Okay. There's no way I don't want to make an extra image here, or another image here. Oh, why? Moving elements. Yes, I'm using splice. All right, I don't know why this is so slow. This doesn't make sense to me. What's going on here? That's so slow. What? I'm literally just removing it from the... Can I do the profiler? I've never really used it before. I don't know how. All right, we did it. What is this? This is me touching it. Okay, how do I interpret this? Interactions none. What is the interactions tracking API? An interaction is a descriptive string and a timestamp. When you declare an interaction, you also provide a callback in which to do some work provided. For example, you can have a React, you can trace a React render like so. Oh, this is like adding stuff to your code to actually trace it. I don't think I want to do that. That seems really useful for... I don't have a use for that right now. It took 1 millisecond. Like, that's not doing anything, you know? Scroll view. Total render is 1. Like, why is... My render is taking, like... The chunk it's taking here seems very large. Like, that one was fairly fast. Well, it's because it's having to... Sorry, I'm trying to think about this. So it's having to re-render... Oh, okay. So I think I have a hunch here. So what React does when you make things... When you have an array of things that get displayed, you have to provide a key prop to all of them. So if you notice here, in our render image, we're rendering, each one has a key of the index. Now the only problem with this is that I don't know 100% how all of the behind the scenes stuff works in React, but I think there's some amount of optimization to where if something has the same key, it's considered the same item. So I think instead of having the keys be reliant on the index, because that'll cause a re-render, and just to test this theory, actually, this is how we can test this. So if I'm right here, deleting the last element wouldn't cause anything else in the array to shift. They'd all be the same one. So deleting the last one should be fairly fast. Yes, almost instant. But if I delete the first one, it's going to be slow. Yep, okay, that's 100% what it is. So the solution to that is I need to use not the index to delete them. Or sorry, not to delete them, but the key shouldn't be the index. So they'll need some sort of ID, essentially. All right, so what do formatted image objects have in there? All right, URI, what do actual images have in them? Does that help me? Image object, please. Thank you. That is something that I feel like I should know after doing React for a long enough time. I don't think I've ever run into that, though, as a performance bottleneck, which is very interesting, but I'm glad I know it at least. Okay, so images have path, their size, their data, which is like a base 64 string. I could just make it an ID, to be honest. We just make it like a little, so on the formatted image object, which we have the type for, we can make ID, which is just a number. Can I just rand? Is it math with a capital M? I like never use the times 100, right? Is that good enough? I think this will work. I don't know how much it matters, like what the ID is. It could be like generating like an actual UUID or something. Maybe I should be doing that instead. All right. So we're gonna try and delete the first one because that should be the same speed. Oh no, it's still real slow. What did I do wrong? Is it just because this? Maybe it's the splice that's actually the expensive part. Maybe I should look into that. Perhaps that actually isn't the key optimizations. Well, I say that. Let me look at my keys first to make sure they're... Well, they should be set per component. Oh, no, that's not correct. Oh, it's because I'm not changing the key. Oh, I'm dumb. Okay. So in render image, I hadn't changed this. So this should be image.id. Okay. Cool. Let's go and reload that one more time, just to be safe. Okay. Nice. Now they're all fast. Cool. That was pretty easy. Okay, image deletion is done, basically. Let's go ahead and commit that. Oh, sorry, I actually need to make an icon. Duh. So I was using heroicons. So I need an X circle, beautiful. And then we have I have a link for knowledge base, React Native, SVG converter. And then we're exporting to, I believe I can change. Hold on. Oh, React Native. Okay, there you go. I was like, where am I missing this? Okay, I think that worked. And then we can go ahead and copy this over. And then this goes over to, we have a folder for icons. Tabletop icons, new file. Circle delete. And then I just have to clean up a few things here. This should be circle delete icon. Where's my 10 to 15 minute wait time? I'm sorry, I'm destroying your user experience. That's what I'm best at. Okay, and then props shouldn't be anything besides so I think all of these have the same dang props. So I'm gonna export all of these into just one thing. So we're just gonna go ahead and export interface icon base props, which should be just color, just string. Now what I can do is go ahead and change, this should just be icon base props. Well, actually what I should do is make it this extends icon base props. And I still don't know why my imports are fucked up on this. I really should figure that out. And then I can delete that, and then bonk bonk. Great. So that should still work the same. Extends icon base props. Icons, great. And this should be circle delete. And then two dots. Okay. And then fill should be. Okay, all of that. Let's do that. Why is class name yelling at me? Property class name does not exist on intrinsic attributes. Really? Did I get rid of class name on all these? So I did. Okay, so then we need a circle deletion, or circle delete icon should be in check in optional items. So the X I'm rendering should be a circle delete icon. Oh, I forgot to export it. That's why it's yelling. Alright, I exported the wrong thing. Circle delete icon. Color should be, I don't know. Like a red, I guess? Like a slightly toned down red. Is it not flat UI colors? Is that not what I typed? Apparently not. How does that look? Let's find out. Okay, undefined module. Circle delete icon. All right, let's finally reload this. Okay. I said this wasn't gonna be too long, and I'm trying not to make it too long. Of course, I'm not succeeding. It's fucking gigantic. Can I also make it have a background color? I to me and bigger. Yeah, it'll be the whole thing. Can I try? Can I make this white? Let's see if this works. It's not exactly what I wanted. Can paths have style? Children. Oh, fill? No, the fill's already defined up there. Is it actually just the stroke? Oh, no, that's not it either. Not quite. So I need to fill the middle, but I don't know how to do that, and I don't really mess with SVG stuff that often. It's kind of unfortunate. Can I do that from... So I do want the filled in one, to be clear. I don't know. I'm not gonna worry about it for right now. I need to style it first. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at how they styled that stuff in this Stack Overflow. Okay, so he actually changed the gist. Can touchable opacity have style? What does that look like? It's a, it is a view style. Okay, so if I go ahead and make this height 10, width 10, it's gonna be pretty small. So the beautiful part about this is that my images aren't going to change aspect ratio, which is something they talk about addressing in that Stack Overflow question, and that does remove a good bit of the complexity from this. So he's just absolute positioning it from the left and the top, which means I should probably make a style sheet for this, because this is turning into. I think I want this right though. We'll see how it looks. It's not there at all. Oh good, they're like decimals. That's not what I want. I should fix that. React Native Style Editor. Oh, that's nice. Woo! Excuse me, sorry, I forgot to mute before that. Okay, there's the button. I see it. Okay, so I probably want it to be closer to 25. Is that accurate? Okay, you remember how I was complaining the last time I was doing this about not being able to find something that lets me handle styles? I'm glad that this lets me do that. Okay, so now why are they not showing up when I absolute position them? If I position them relatively, it works. I guess I'll just try and do that. So I'll change the width and the height to 25. Okay, those show up. Great. So I still need that white infill in the middle. And I can't do... Right, I can't do... Wait, did touchable opacity just support a image background? No, it doesn't. Okay. Anyways, so the only thing left now is that style thing. And again, I like it on the right side. I don't know how much that matters. Can I get a reference for something else? What other apps do I have that lines up images like that? I think Discord might do that if I open it. They also put the X on the right side. Okay. I just wanted to confirm that I'm not crazy. So if I have this on there... How do I get it over to the right from here, though? This is on the second image. Yeah, so I could just margin left it. It seems a little janky, but it would work. The red is kind of invasive though. Like it should be a more subdued. So this shouldn't be red because it shouldn't be red because it's basically a minor action. For the most part, we're going to assume that people who are putting images on there, relatively what they know what they want their images to be. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is just make it a dark one and lower the opacity a little bit is the plan. So I can extend these. Opacity is a number. And then can we just specify the opacity? Yeah, great. Great. So now, yeah, okay, so it's actually, we probably want to probably just make this fully black, and then, yeah, that looks better. I still want to make the middle part white though, and then the opacity is there instead of it just being clear. So I really need to figure out how to do that. Okay, so how do I fill SVG icon? Cascading SVG. What does that mean exactly? So what we need to do is make basically the background color of the circle of the SVG icon needs to be white. And what that'll do is then we're filling we have a path. We have the path. The path is getting filled to that dark color. That's fine. So the only problem right now is this does everything. So I don't know how to only do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to bullshit it. Which clearly does not work. Oh, geez, I have to go down so deep down the rabbit hole here. Okay, so now can I apply styles to my path? Probably not, right? Children, clip path, disabled, fill opacity, marker. How does a mask work? SVG path mask. There's probably reference for the SVG stuff that I should probably look at. Or maybe I can just make a circle, right? And put it under. SVG element reference. Let's do that. We'll learn a little bit about SVG in the process. Cool, so I can make a circle. I can make it the height. I need a x-axis coordinate at the center of the circle, y-axis, total length. So let's go ahead and try and make this. So we're gonna go ahead and make a circle, which is auto import from React Native SVG. What props do we have available on the circle? Do we have a stroke? Because that's what I care about here. Or not stroke, rather, sorry. Fill. Should be, let's do this just the string white for now. I can change that probably to a prop afterwards. And then we'll go ahead and delete this. I made a circle that's white. So I'm using React Native SVG. So perhaps I should actually go look at the docs for that instead of what I'm looking at now. Also, I don't know why Vimium is using Google. Search engines. What's going on there? What's going on, Don't You Dare? Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the stream. I definitely changed this. Oh, default search engine, leave empty. To reset this option, save changes. Okay, so it's gonna do. It's the one annoying part I have about this extension is that it doesn't inherit the browser. The browser's search engine. My goodness, I cannot speak. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Circles. The CX and CY props define the X and Y coordinates at the center of the circle. If they're omitted, the circle center is set to 0, 0. The R prop defines the radius of the circle. So what is the radius of this SVG element right now? Should I make the radius 20? Oh no, that's too big. Sorry, if it's 2020, the radius should only be 10. And then CX should be, it should be at 1010, I think. I believe that's correct. Let's find out though. Yep, so it's actually a little bigger. So it's maybe closer to 8. That's not 8. Is that right? Nice. Okay, so you kind of can't tell with the opacity, but if we just turn this to 1, should be able to see. Yeah, nice. So now we have that white background. Cool. Now we can turn that back to 0.7, I think is fine. Yeah, and then we just need to move it over to the right side. Which I actually should be able to do with, this should be, we flex column by default, so this should be align, one content flex end. No, hold on. This is a really handy website that I recommend if you're stuck on Flexbox things. It's like a pretty reliable demo, I think. There are only 2 things. We're flexing row, justify content, flex end. Oh, it's align items is what I want. I don't remember what align content does. That doesn't work either. Oh, it's because the height and the width is only 25. That's why. Yeah, I'm not actually flexing anything here. We should just have, we'll just do like the original plane, which was the dumb way. Nope. Sure, there's a better way of doing this, but I think this works fine. Nice. All right. Cool, that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and commit that. It is done enough. Let me go over and make sure that doesn't need anything else. Changed a bunch of shit. We'll change this to use the new base props method. What is that keyword I was just looking at? It's extends. I don't know why I was having trouble remembering that. How did I open React DevTools? This is the standalone React DevTools. So you can actually, if you download it, I think from so the actual command is react-devtools. You can install it via npm. It's the global version. I'm using it because excuse me. It allows you to use like the component like tree and that sort of stuff with React Native, which you can't do normally. So. Okay, so this should be extends icon base props. And we're gonna take a slight detour and figure out why my imports aren't working as expected. I have a hunch, but I don't know if it's correct. How are we looking? Cool. I don't have any console.logs left. Yeah, it is really handy. It was the last stream we did of this stuff. I was sort of complaining that I didn't really have a good DevTools experience, and I will say I don't think it's as good as it is in browser, just because I get a better inspector when I'm working on browser and that sort of stuff. But it's pretty decent. It's okay. There are some other things like I get set up like debugging in my Visual Studio Code, which I should also probably do, but haven't yet. But it's, you know, I think for the most part, pretty good. All right, that took me like an hour, so nice. Styles, I added like everything here. Add image support. Great. Very useful commit message. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take a quick detour and try and figure out why my VS Code isn't working with imports specifically. Again, I think I have an idea why, but we'll restart to update real quick. So let's gonna go ahead and go into a file, and we can go into here. And if we just go ahead and delete, let's go and delete the circle delete icon. And there should be one instance of that here, circle. So now that's there. If we import from module that. All right, it still doesn't work, so it's not providing a relative path, it's providing absolute path like it was in my node modules, which it's not. I think why this is, and we're gonna test this out. I'm gonna go ahead and add a folder to my workspace. I think the reason why is because I have two Git repositories inside of this single folder. So Tabltop is the React Native app, and Tabltop server is my GraphQL server that I'm running. So I think the issue is that it doesn't know how to resolve the fact that I have stuff from both of them. And And I think that's what I'm going to check out right now. So if I go ahead and add another folder to a workspace, I'm going to go ahead and add Tabletop server. Great. And then this top level one, we're actually going to remove folder from the workspace. And then we're going to go ahead and I need to save workspace as Tabletop code workspace. I'm going to replace it. Oh, maybe it already saves it. Anyways, so now let's try this again. Let's go ahead, just to make sure, we'll go ahead and restart our TypeScript server. Let's go ahead and import default from modules icon. Still not working. Okay, so let's go ahead and try and take a crack at this Google-wise. Let's go and close out all of this stuff for now, I think. VS Code auto import. Auto importing VS Code only offering absolute path with Lorna sub packages. TypeScript preferences import module specifier. Is this something with my TS config actually? Module resolution is node. That's fine. Well, it's in, again, it's in Visual Studio, very likely. So there's React.js type. I'm not entirely sure what you're asking, don't you dare. So for this project, we're using React Native with TypeScript. And then for the app itself, and then the backend server is TypeScript as well, with using GraphQL. It's using Apollo, I believe. But yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question or not. TypeScript preferences import. Well, here, let's just look that up. Import module specifier, preferred path style for auto imports. Relative to the file location. Preferred path ending, preferred path style. Okay, does that work? Let's try that again. So go ahead and delete this. And then here, we'll go ahead and auto import again. God dang it. That did not at all work. Import module. VS Code always imported the relative path even though it was from a different Lorna package. Oh, this was... Oh, I changed the JavaScript option, not the TypeScript option, which is probably why that wasn't working. Beautiful. Okay. Great. That worked, as expected. Fuck yeah. Oh, what's going on, Drew Gruberson? How's it going, dude? We used... our school officially taught us C++ for our first few classes, but I learned Python, I think for another class or just for an unrelated reason. A project I did with a friend, we did in C#, although I didn't really know what I was doing there. And then later on, I learned JavaScript slowly, kind of through school. I would say my JavaScript didn't get good until I had an internship where I was working in it all the time, but, you know. I used Valgrind once or twice, yes. I will say that my C++ knowledge is pretty trash, and I don't consider myself good at C++ at all. because we never learned any advanced enough stuff to where I would feel comfortable calling myself a C++ developer at all. So I don't know if I will be much help in that regard. Okay, so where am I at now? Imports are solved. Great. We're happy about that. Tabletop code workspace. I've changed that. Why didn't this format before? Hello? Weird. Format file, reconfigure. Can't type, reconfigure workspace. All right, cool. Oh, do I have to update again? Yikes. All right, well, that's done. Cool, what next? All right, what's after images? Next part is, oh, I want you, not there, code editor, thanks though. Okay, so what's next after images? Next is location. Okay. So, location, I was thinking about the other day, and I am unsure of how locations are going to work. So I'm going to talk through this. If anyone has inputs on how things should go, that'd be great. If not, I'm just going to rubber duck off the people watching. Sorry. So the thing is with locations is that the point of this mostly is not to be saying I'm playing this at my house or a friend's house. I don't really want that. More so, my original intention with this was I am at this board game bar. I'm at this, I guess, a bar that has board games, like isn't a board game bar. Basically, like, I'm out and about playing a board game somewhere. So we have like a board game bar here in town. So like you're at the board game bar, you're at a board game shop. A lot of times you can play there, that sort of thing. And that way too, so again, this is, I think, leaning pretty heavily on the board game cafe / board game bar concept, just because that's what I use the most. But the idea basically would be like, okay, all the people who are playing it, so Pieces is the one that's close to us. If you check in with a game at Pieces, basically everyone could be like, oh, what games are being played at Pieces right now? And yeah, I don't know if like Pieces could use that information, or that was sort of the initial thought. Now, this could just be really dumb, and I don't need this because like, I guess there's a question of like, where are people playing board games the most that they're going to use this, you know? And on the same vein though, right? So the location is going to be optional. So like if you're playing at home, you just don't put a location, right? So does that matter? So just to go off that, let's go with that for now. Is that let's assume that locations are mostly if you're out and about playing them. The question is basically how do you aggregate those locations? So one possibility is to use something like a Google Maps thing, to where you select something from Google Maps. Now the problem is that there's no way to provide it. Sorry, here's the other part of this, right? Is that ideally what you'd like to be able to do is that some of these, basically the longer term goal of this is that some of those businesses that are doing this, so board game bars and that sort of thing, you'd want them to have some sort of integration with the app. So let's take Pieces, for example. So let's say Pieces, so in a hypothetical world where people are using Tabletop and it's like a thing, Pieces wants to be able to recommend games to people, or be able to like display announcements about like store hours and specials they have going on. So like you can imagine that Tabletop suddenly becomes a very good spot for board game related information to a specific venue. So if Pieces is like, hey, we are getting a new game, or we're doing, I think they do play tests with some like local game developers there. If they're doing something like that, putting it on Tabletop feels like a good place to have that information. If that's the case, you want something more integrated to the app than a Google Maps link. Basically, that's my thought process there. So A Google Maps link is like, it takes you to the location, but it doesn't actually tie any data into the app at all. So I don't want that. Now the problem is that I can't hand curate every board game bar ever that exists. So I either need to find a way to scrape this from Google Maps efficiently. I need to allow user submissions for locations, which like is a separate problem. So basically, I don't know. I don't know what the play is there. I think in the end, locations are going to be something that I have stored on the server. I keep records of them because I want to attach data to them. Again, in a theoretical world where I have like a tabletop for business sort of thing. I want the businesses to be able to put stuff on their like location page, we'll say, right? So the question is, how do I populate that location page? Because even if a business isn't signed up with Tabletop, again, Tabletop for Business does not exist, but if it does, if a business hasn't signed up for that, so you should still be able to put where you want it. Put where you're playing. All that is to say that it's not exactly an easy problem to solve. I'm not 100% on what the right way to go forward there is. Because, so user submission is probably the best way, just overall, because, you know, that requires less work by me, but there's a certain element of like, you know, I have to verify something, right? Like I don't think I would want a user just to be able to like, you know, type in whatever string of text they want to be for the name for this business that other people can check into. Because then I have to worry about like, you know, racial slurs and that sort of thing, because people do that, of course, sadly. So it'd have to be basically like, okay, select this Google Maps approved business, and then we'll put it into Tabletop. There are some ways that I think that you could abuse that as well, but perhaps that's the best way to do that. Now I'm sort of interested because, so Tabletop, not Tabletop, Jesus Christ, Untapped, which is like a beer social networking app, which in a lot of ways is very reminiscent of what I'm doing here, but for a different thing. They do locations. So I'm going to go ahead and open locations. Okay, so it seems like they use, so they use Foursquare, actually. Now, I'm sure you have to pay to use Foursquare. Let's look at that, actually. Let's explore that. So they're using Foursquare, which is... Oh, I spelled that wrong. Is a location data platform. So let's look at products. Places is probably what we want. Access firmographic data and rich community source content for more than 60 million commercial places across the world. Oh, also G. Cooperson, I'm sorry, I missed your last question. Do I remember taking operating systems? I took operating systems. I cannot tell you anything I learned from that class at all, which is bad, and it's something I want to go back and refresh myself on, but I legitimately could tell you nothing, which is bad, but... Okay, identify popular and trending places. I don't really care about that. Augment basic venue details with rich contextual content. Choose from dozen of place attributes like venue name, address, ratings, and reviews for millions of point of interest. Enrich users' understanding of a place. Keyword descriptors. Okay. Just for developers. For developers that want to test our API, you get 1 app per account, 950 regular calls per day, and 50 premium calls per day. Okay. Free personal. For developers that want to monetize their app or user base. App quota is 95,550 for regular calls per day and 500 for premium. Interesting. Okay. Access places data in real time from any connected application. Accurately assign a mobile app user to a specific location. I don't really care about that. Test API today. Let's check this out. Oh, I have to make an account. All right, well, wait a second. So I wonder here. Is Foursquare, do they have like a user-facing part of this? Or is it just Explorers, Foursquare City Guide, or Swarm? Okay, let's try making an account real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and sign up. I am gonna go ahead and switch to just my face for a second, so I can fill this out. Oh, what is that tab indexing? What? Hello? Okay, the tab indexing on this form is horrendous. Are you kidding me? What even, man? After you tab off of first and last name, it just goes to birthday and skips email and password, which is really effing odd. Okay, that's that. Sign up. Let me make sure this works before switching back over. What's going on, Will? Yeah, so admittedly, since I've been using my keyboard more and trying to use my mouse less, I've become more acutely aware of things that are, probably considered accessibility issues more than anything. And yeah, they are really annoying. Did this work? I'm just on a blank screen. Is my ad block fucking it? Yes. Email verification required. Alrighty. Verify your Foursquare account. Oh. So the other exciting thing today is that I've ordered a new guitar amp, which I'm very excited about. And it wasn't supposed to come until Monday, but it's actually coming today, which is thrilling. I'm very excited. I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I don't know when the hell it's getting here. It says end of day today. I don't know how real that is. It says in transit, which doesn't help me. Because I think it normally says out for delivery before it's like coming. So it's only 1:23, and I think our UPS people don't get here until later anyways. But anyways, I'm just being impatient. All right, please click here to verify your email. Alrighty. I think I can switch back. Here, let me just make this whilst I'm not trying things. I apologize. App or company URL. I don't have an app URL yet. Did I buy a domain name for this? I was gonna get one, but hadn't yet, I don't think. Let me check my Namecheap account. Oh, sweet Lord Jesus. Sorry, I'm just doing all the secret stuff now. So then I can just switch back to code and not have to worry about this. The answer is no. $15 a year? All right. I'm getting a domain name. Like I'm buying more of those recently than I have in later. All right, who is guard? Fine, great. Okay. I should have done this earlier. I should double check that there is not Tabltop.com. Tabltop.com is taken. All right, tabletop.app it is. you got a friend. Nice. I'm now the proud owner of Tabltop.app. Neat. There's nothing there, but I own it now. Cool. App successfully created. Oh, those are secrets I don't want people to see. What is the Pilgrim SDK? How do I try? Sorry, now I definitely can't show you this thing. How do I try API? Yeah, what is the Pilgrim.SDK? Place data. Here, full specs. Oh, we're not doing enterprise. Sorry. For developers, start building. Places API, docs, great. Developers, docs, places API, places database, comprehensive global places data available offline. Well, that's probably what I want, right? Foursquare must whitelist you to access the places database. Oh, fuck, all right. I'm just gonna switch this back. I think this is fine. I just can't go on the dashboard because it shows my key. Alrighty, key features, getting started. I already made an app. I already have my secret. Make your first API call. Using your client ID and secret, let's make our first API call. Show you how to find a coffee shop near a given location. Oh, I can just query stuff? Oh. Okay, well, let's go ahead and set that up then. So we're just gonna test a few things to see if this works. Let's go make a new thing. Foursquare places API testing. Great. No environment. Can I use new environment? Manage environments. How does this work? Variables in this environment are always available regardless of which sub-environment is active. Use of, okay, new environment. How does this work? Can I do like Foursquare client ID Foursquare. I'll fill these out here in a second. Client secret, I think is the 2. Cool, and then how do I... Environment data can be used for nunjux templating. Custom template tags. Okay, so let's see if I can use those correctly. So the URL for Places API is... they reference it as venues. Okay, so let's just go ahead and do this. Venues, explore. Okay, we're just making a get. I don't use curl very often. Is that just saying... Is that URL parameters? Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Oh, is it gonna show this in the URL though? I don't love that. Client ID. Is, how do I, oh, Foursquare client ID. That's neat. I'm trying to see if I can make these requests on stream without displaying stuff. What is V? Oh, is that near a location? Longitude, latitude. I don't know what V is though. Okay, We'll just go ahead and copy their sample API call for now. I shouldn't do quotes around this. We'll copy their longitude, latitude. And then query is coffee. Limit 1. So I send this isn't going to work because we're missing authentication details. So what we're going to test here is that if I manage environments, if I do this to some random string, does it show it in the URL? God damn it, it does. Well, that's really unfortunate. How do I cover that up? Let's make new. Color source. Oh, that just covered the entire screen. Thank you, but no thank you. Oh, why is it keeping its aspect ratio? Don't do that, please. How do I ignore the aspect ratio? Beautiful, okay. We're gonna cover up this URL, very professional. Not at all scuffed. All right, nice. We're secret now, baby. All right, okay, so now I actually have to switch off to this real quick so I can go and put in the secret. I mean, you know, like worst case, I could just regenerate it anyways, but like. Client ID, client secret. But in theory, if someone saw it, they could like spam all my requests, so I'm not trying to do that. Foursquare client secret, great. Cool, that worked. Let's go ahead and see. Hold on. I think that worked. Let me just make it larger, so. Great, okay, I think that worked. So, here we are. We have, oh, and now my face is in the way. That's fine. So, there aren't a lot of results for coffee. Try something more general. Reset your filters or expand the search area. We're in Soho, New York, apparently is the things they've given us. Recommended places, venue, clothing stores, suggested filters, warning, total results are 75. That's not a lot of results, what? Recommended, wait, where are the actual items? Okay, so how do I get my current longitude and latitude? So what I'm going to try and do basically is find pieces, because again, I live close enough to there. Ooh, that might actually... Hold on. Let's just do this. So Pieces is a very cool place if you were in the St. Louis area. Highly recommend. So here they are. I don't want to copy the plus code. I want longitude and latitude. How do I find that? Share. Oh, here we go. It's here, I believe. I don't know exactly how longitude and latitude work, but... Board games. Must be the form xx.xx. Oh, this 19 is. There aren't a lot of results for board games. Okay, so we're correct though. Soulard St. Louis, that's right. This font is popular. Oh, Hair of the Dog, nice. I've been there before. There aren't a lot of results for board games. So let me type in, if I type in bar at this longitude and latitude, there aren't a lot of results. Let's go ahead and get rid of this limit variable. Probably get a bit of a bigger. International Tap House. That is really close to where that is. How do I expand the search area? So let's just go to the actual API docs. Let's go ahead and look here. API endpoints. Let's check it out. So we're doing venues explore, which is get venue recommendations. We probably want to search. Let's go ahead and try that first. So we just do search. Great. Oh, sorry, this black box is going to show up now all the time. It's not ideal, but that's where we're at right now. Is there anything in the Insomnia things that I can say? I don't want you to reveal passwords. How do I get rid of the URL preview? That's all I want. If I get rid of the URL preview, then I'm Gucci. I can start showing shit again. Insomnia Plus, keyboard themes. Can I just make a post to this? Does it care? Ugh, this is so annoying. This output spends userless or user authentication. User authentication is required unless client ID and secret provider to valid OAuth token in the query string of each request. This is so frustrating. Why can't I just hide this? So I have to have this ugly ass black box. Like, this URL preview thing is handy. Except for the fact that it contains... I don't want to reveal passwords. Plugins. Insomnia plugins, publishing. The Insomnia plugin hub. All right, let's see what they have. Default headers, OS info, testing, random number, generate faker values, MasterCard auth, generate a random value, timestamp. Generate a random value. Encode JSON and JSON. So this would be a nice little like side project thing that I probably don't need to do right now, but is to make a plugin for Insomnia that hides this. I really want to replace. Save response. Interested in making my own. How hard is this actually? Create create a plugin. It's a Node.js module that's placed in a specific directory that Insomnia knows about. What can plugins do? Like, it may just not be able to do that. All right, that's probably not worth looking at. Anyways, okay. We're just messing around with this for a little bit right now anyways, so. Okay, so we're searching for venues. Parameters. LL is required unless near is provided. Latitude and longitude of the user's location. Okay, which I have. Don't need near. Intent. One of the values below indicating your intent in performing the search. If no value is specified, defaults to check-in. This is the intent we recommend most apps use. Okay. Browse, match. Okay, so let's just use check-in for now. That's what we're using. Radius. Defaults to a citywide area. Okay. Only valid for results with intent browse or requests with intent check-in and intent check-in and category ID or query. So queries is search term to be applied against venue names. So let's look at board game. Let's just get rid of this limit parameter. Comma separated list of categories to limit results to. If you specify category ID, okay. How do categories work? Okay, so they have a bunch of them. So let's look at board game. Toy game store, video game store. How many type of bars are there? Juice bar, beach bar. Sake bar, huh. So, a gaming cafe, is that what this is considered? So we're gonna try and find pieces. Let's not use a category first. I wanna figure out what type of category it is. That probably helps with that. Okay, L accuracy is accuracy of latitude and longitude. What other, I have V, which let's get rid of that. What is V? I don't see that as a parameter. Okay. It's bounding box. Don't care about that. Third-party URL, which attempt to match against something. Altitude of the user's location. Care about that. All right, so let's try and run this. Let's see what we get. The Foursquare API no longer supports requests that do not pass in a version parameter. For more details, see developer.foursquare overview versioning. Versioning is controlled by the V parameter, which is a date that represents the version of the API for which you expect from Foursquare. It is designed to give developers the freedom to adopt Foursquare API changes in their own schedule. The value of the V parameter is a date in year, month, date format that lets you tell unprepared for API changes up to this date. As a concrete example, suppose we introduce a change that renames something. Oh, okay, that's actually a really neat thing. All API requests require a version parameter. Oh, great. That's actually a pretty cool way to do things. That way you never have to worry about breaking changes past a certain date. So we'll just say 0601. It's month then day, right? Yep. Great. Okay, it found it. Awesome. So here we are. Pieces, St. Louis, Board Game Bar and Cafe. Categories. It is a lounge. Okay. Atomic Squash board games at Archon. General entertainment. Board of Election Commissioners. That's not related at all. SRG board meeting. Moving target. Anheuser-Busch InBev IT Change Review Board. Hell yeah. It's in a conference room. Hell yeah. That's... I probably should not be on here. Board of Religious Organizations in St. Louis. Okay, so that's not helpful. What the hell does a lounge mean? It's just a lounge. It's in nightlife, but it's just... Okay, I don't know that helps me. Okay, so let's look at miniature... So the other example I have of this is Miniature Market, which is a local place here that isn't necessarily a board game bar, but they're actually just a... they sell board games, but you can also play them there, and they're like a card shop and that sort of thing. So they're considered a game... So to be clear, this first one I believe is actually their warehouse. So they have a website, but they're based in St. Louis. I think this is their... I think this is their actual store. 2061 Congressional. Oh, on MapQuest, baby. Why the hell are we on MapQuest? Where's this at? That seems like it could be it. Oh, no, that must be the warehouse also. What the fuck? Anyways, so the categories are not consistent. That's really unfortunate. I was hoping that they would all be listed under something and I could just, like, find them. But the other thing here, right, is that with this sort of app with the board games, a lot of times I think breweries more and more are starting to do this sort of thing. So, like, there's a brewery down the street from us that they have board games inside of their thing, like inside of their brewery. So, you know, in theory, they're not like as, you know, board game hardcore or anything like that. It's like pretty standard stuff. But so maybe using Foursquare is just the way to go. There's still some additional questions to be answered, though, about, like, when you search for something, does it search the internal database or does it search Foursquare? I don't know how to decide that. That's why it's going to take some more thinking, I think. All right, tell you what. I'm going to go to the bathroom because I need to do that. It's been like 2 hours. There's a good chance we just punt on this for now and start working on Friends Edition because Friends is way more straightforward. I think we might just do that. There are some questions I have to answer about location that I think I want to, like, think about some more and perhaps bounce off some folks. So I think it doesn't make sense to try and rush forward with an implementation right now. So we're going to go ahead and add Friends because I know what I'm doing with Friends. It's pretty straightforward. Friends are internal to the app. You just select one, you know, select Friends and then boom, done. It's just a tag there. I guess there are some questions to be answered about, are you going to have a friends list? Does it have to be from the friends list? That I don't know. But yeah, I think that should be fine. So I'm going to go to the bathroom and then we're going to come back and I think we're going to start working on this. We'll sort of abandon the Foursquare stuff for now. Yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. And I'll be back in like, oh, that sounded like I was leaving. I'm not. I'll be back in like 5 minutes. Alrighty. I returned. Let me go ahead and close out of this real quick so I can get rid of this box. Okay. Okay, cool. So, going on to implementing friends. Let's go ahead and try and give ourselves an outline. I'm going to try and close out of this stuff. Whoop, whoop. Thanks. So, friends hopefully should be fairly straightforward. So, there are some challenges here, I think, as well. So let's do friends. So with friends, we're going to need a friends search dialog, essentially, or friends search component. Now, there's an element here about how do we get the autocomplete items. So, we're not going to be able to Sorry, I thought I was going to see something, that's all I didn't. So this is actually sort of a general problem. So this is a problem with the games too. So how we have games set up right now is we're actually getting every game when we go to search, which is really bad. So if we look at game search wrapper, this is where we're making our GraphQL query here to, let me go ahead and make this a little bigger. That's like a little too big. So when we're running the games wrapper, so if you notice here, we've got our games GraphQL query. We're getting literally all of the games, which is not good. So what we really should be doing is we probably should be getting games as we're searching, right? Sorry, how many tissues in here? So I'm kind of interested in this. So I think Apollo, which is what we're using for GraphQL, might have some information on this. Now, I want to look at least first before I go into this, because if I can solve this, then that would be really nice, is what I'm trying to say here. Oh, Dark Reader. It's not working great on this site right now. Apollo Client 3.0 is now available in beta. Do I have that? I don't know if I'm using that. I am using Apollo Boost 0.47, which is the easiest way to get started with Apollo Client, supposedly. Apollo Boost. I just want to make sure I'm using the right docs before I go into this. I assume it's not using the beta. It includes some sensible defaults, including our recommended in-memory cache HTTP link, which come configured for you with our recommended settings. So Apollo clients, while the magic happens, cache and memory is our recommended cache, and Apollo link for remote data fetching, Apollo link for error handling, function for your queries and mutations. So there are some docs here. Oh, that's a broken URL link. Docs Boost. Learn how to set up Apollo client manually without Apollo Boost. If you'd like to use subscriptions, I will want to use that eventually. Maybe I should just migrate off of this now. You need to manually attach your cache and link to the client. The memory cache is the recommended cache implementation for Apollo client. HTTP links and Apollo link that sends HTTP requests. Your network stack can be made up one or more links, which you can chain together to create a customizable network stack. Okay, if you're using configuration options on Apollo Boost, excuse me. Is it really that easy? I'm probably just gonna switch off Boost now then. I think. Yeah, where am I setting this up again? In app.tsx? So I'm declaring an Apollo client from Apollo Boost. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this real quick. So hopefully this should be fast. CD tabletop. And then we're going to go ahead and add... let's go ahead and get this list of things. And then this is yarn add mop. Great. And then we're going to need to perhaps I should put this into a function, like out of components, and instead make init Apollo client. All right, so how do I do this? So we're going to return a new Apollo client. So I guess we should also get rid of package.json. We should get rid of Apollo Boost. And then let's go ahead and rm/rf node modules, and then yarn install. Once that's done. Cool. Holy shit. I have 32,000 packages? Is that what that's saying? Wowzers, man. That's a lot. That is a lot. Dang, I'm really impatient about this guitar amp. I want it. All right, unable to resolve Apollo Boost. That's to be expected because I just deleted it. Apollo client, import from Apollo client. Yep. And then we have options. So we need to go ahead and okay, so how does link work exactly? They're saying the Apollo link docs. Let's look at that. Okay, this is the official guide for getting started with Apollo Link in your application. Apollo Link is a simple yet powerful way to describe how you want to get the result of a GraphQL operation and what you want to do with the results. You've probably come across middleware that might transform a request and its result. Apollo Link is an abstraction that's meant to solve similar problems in a much more flexible and elegant way. You can use Apollo Link with Apollo Client, GraphQL tools, even as a standalone client. Great. When you fire a GraphQL request, each link's functionality is applied one after another. This allows you to control the request lifecycle in a way that makes sense for your applications. Great. Let me read the concepts guide. At the basic level, a link is a function that takes an operation and returns an observable. Composition. Links are able to compose together to form full chains. Okay. Each one has context of some kind. Okay. Apollo client works seamlessly with Apollo link. A link is one of the required items when creating an Apollo client instance. Oh, it's required. Okay. For simple HTTP requests, we recommend using this. Okay, so very simply, all this does is the HTTP link is a terminating link that fetches GraphQL results from a GraphQL endpoint over an HTTP connection. Great. So that's easy enough. So let's go ahead and do that. So that's the first key we need is link. And for the link, we're making a... Oh, and we also have an error handling link. Apollo.link from, and then you do an array. So the first array is on error. Where are we getting on error from? Apollo link error. So this is just an error handler for our GraphQL requests, and then on error is an error handler, which has GraphQL. Why is this not typed? Network error. It should be typed. Yeah, okay, why is this yelling at me? Property cache is missing, but required. Okay. So link on error. All destructured elements are unused. Oh, okay, so it knows what they are. I don't know why it wasn't letting me autocomplete them then. Weird. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and copy this over. I assume this is fine. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. This is yelling at me horrendously. And the next one is new HTTP Apollo HTTP link. No, new, which I also need to import. I don't know if that's the default, I'm gonna assume it is. It isn't. I don't know why my autocomplete's not working for me here. Do these things not have types? New HTTP link, which probably takes an options object as well, if I had to guess. Yep. So here we need to present the URI, which the URI here is, we're going to change this eventually, but it's just localhost 4000. That's where our server's running on. And then credentials, I don't need to worry about that yet. Yeah, I don't want to pass anything to credentials yet. I don't know what's going on there. So next, after link, we have cache, which needs to be new in-memory cache. I don't know why I can't find these things right now. It's kind of annoying. Apollo cache in memory. Cache is new in memory cache, no options. Great. All right, so I think that's fine. So now this is exported. So now what we can do is go ahead and delete this from here. Our client is going to be, const client is going to be, what are we calling this? Init Apollo client. We just run that. Great, and then anywhere else we're using Apollo Boost, a few places. I import GraphQL from that. So this is instead going to be, is it GraphQL tag, I believe? Yep, GraphQL tag. Is it just the default export now? Let's go double check that. I think we can search GitHub GraphQL tag. I think that's what it's called. Yep, it's just GQL. Yep. Ooh, a Webpack loader to pre-process queries? How does that work? Importing GraphQL files. Ooh. I like that. That seems really nice. And I can also do TypeScript pre-processing. Ooh. This is stuff I probably should be doing. Compiles GraphQL tag template strings using GraphQL tag in TypeScript files. Great. It reduces the script initialization time and removes the GraphQL tag dependency. Oh, saves 50 kilobytes from our build. Nice. Okay, so how does this work? So GraphQL, I think I already have, but GraphQL tag I can now have as a dev dependency only. That's kind of nice. So now I add TS transform GraphQL tag. So yarn add this. Oh, this also should be a dev dependency. Fuck. Oh well. Changing here in a second. Okay, so that's in the dev dependencies as well. I am actually gonna need to delete our no modules though. What's going on, Cochin? GM, friend. GM. All right, we're gonna delete this and yarn install because I think that matters to the package lock. Ugh. God dang it. Reason to have pets. Find dog hair in your coffee. Good. Love that. Ugh. Thank you. There are still many things to do, and every time I work on it, I'm like, holy shit, I have so many things to do. But we're making progress, you know? Making progress. Still many unknowns. All right. Packages are installed again. Now what? I'm not using Webpack though. Integration with Webpack. If you're using Webpack, there are two TypeScript loaders that support specifying custom transformers. Oh, so I can't use this unless I'm using Webpack. I don't think we're using Webpack because I'm using React Native. React Native, TypeScript GraphQL. That's what we're gonna look up. Middle manager. I don't know what those terms mean. Well, I know what middle manager means. I actually legitimately don't know what velocity and sprint cadence mean. I cannot tell you what that is. All right, get started with GraphQL and React Native. Oh, this looks really bad with Dark Reader. Great, app overview, sure. Connect to a data source. To find the resolvers, create the server. Building the app is what I want. context API. This doesn't help me, does it? That doesn't help me. I want types generated. I don't know how to do this. I don't want to figure it out. It's not actually important right now. It will be nice, but it's not important. The important part is that I get... we're just going to go ahead and delete this. And move this back to being an actual dependency. Anyways, oh, there's a Babel transformer? Oh, maybe I need to use that. Anyways, okay, this actually isn't important right now. I'm not doing anything crazy enough with GraphQL to where I really need auto-generate types. I don't think that's really important right now. GetGame says declare but its value is never read? Really? Okay, so back what I was doing before, I need to... Oh yeah, this isn't check-in, which that got moved. So this should be... I just need to put this in. Okay, and then here... Great, okay, so that's all fixed. So I should be able to commit that actually. Hopefully just removing. So this commit will switch app to use Apollo client instead of Apollo boost. Cool, that's neat. Oh, that's a nice little thing. Okay. So, now comes the fun part. Actually learning how to use Apollo client. Woo! Write a query and receive data without manually tracking loading states. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Design for modern React, incrementally adoptable. Fetching data. So I know how to use queries. Executing a query. Caching query results, great. Updating cached query results. Polling and refetching. Inspecting loading states. Inspecting error states. Executing queries manually. Use query API. I don't need to update my data. Yo, what's going on, Ruff? Is it Ruff? Roof? Local state management. Learn how to work with your local data in Apollo client. Updating local state. So I just don't think this is gonna work, but I don't know exactly how to specify. So, okay, so let me verbalize this in hopes that I can figure it out. So the problem is right now is that whenever you load, whenever you go through our check-in flow, whenever you load a game here, this component, the wrapper around this component is doing a query to get every single game from the backend. Now, right now, there's only 2 games, so this isn't a big issue. But ideally, you know, if we look at, how many games are on Board Game Geek right now? Like a fuck ton, right? There's a lot, I'm sure. I don't know if they give you a number. Browse. All board games. Yeah, there are 1,160 pages of 100 board games. So yeah, like a lot. Yeah, add like 3 zeros to that. It's a lot. So what? Yeah. Is that 110,000? I can't do math. Yeah. 116,000 games. So obviously we can't fetch all 116,000 every time someone opens that that component. That's just not, it's just not good, right? It's not going to work. So we need to do something different. So what we need to do basically is query based on what they're searching on. But the problem is, right, is that, so in theory, you can do this with on changes, right? So you just do on change, and then you just do like, so if I'm looking for Scythe. In theory, as I start typing, it'll search. But like, I don't know how that works. So maybe generally I should just look up GraphQL search query. It doesn't have to necessarily be specific to React Native. It's more of a GraphQL thing. So let's find this out. So I went out to implement GraphQL search in a React application. To accomplish this, we'll have a search field that triggers the search when the user types in an input field and updates the UI as results come back from our GraphQL API. That's basically what we want. Okay, so I don't care about the AWS AppSync part, but I care more about how they're doing the implementation. Filter limit. Okay, so let's start out by querying for a list of all ice creams in our database. This is list all. This could be a list of all the ice creams in your database. Next, let's try filtering by description for only ice cream with chocolate in it. Sure. So it takes a parameter that gives you a filter. Description contains chocolate. If you look at the schema and view the list ice creams query, you will see that there are 3 optional arguments: filter, limit, and next token. Filter is a type of table ice cream filter input, which allows us to filter based on any value in the field. Sure. The description is an input type of table string filter input. Table string filter input is contains not equal. Oh, this is like really nice, actually. This is a good system. The filter we're using is the contains filter. We're basically saying if the field contains our search term, return the result. Sure. You can also see we have options of equals, not equals, not contains, many others. Great. Next, we need to hook it up to a React thing. Oh, we're using AppSync search. I just want to see the queries they're doing. Implementing search functionality in the client. GraphQL, list ice creams. This is really hard without good syntax highlighting to read. All right, export default, compose, GraphQL, you're listing ice creams. I don't exactly know what this function does. Options, cache and network, props. I don't know what compose is. On search, props of data, fetch more, update query. What is going on here? We'll be using the data.fetchMore function from React Apollo. We'll pass a function to our component on search that will pass in the search query. On search, we'll call props.data.fetchMore, passing the query variables and update query necessary to execute the operation. So this might be just what we want. Fetch more. In Apollo, the easiest way to do pagination is with the function called fetchMore, which is included in the result object returned by the useQuery hook. This basically allows you to do a new GraphQL query and merge the result into the original result. Oh, that's really neat. Okay. You can specify what query and variables to use for the new query and how to merge the new query result with the existing data on the client. How exactly you do that will determine what type of pagination you're implementing. So I'm not exactly doing pagination though, or I'm not trying to. Okay, I'm going to keep reading through, just keeping that in mind. The GraphQL query, including the onSearch function, will end up looking like this. To trigger the query, we'll use dbounce from Lodash to only trigger the function if the user does not type for a given period. Okay, so that's part of the sauce here, is that we don't call it unless they've stopped typing for a certain amount of time. Which that makes sense because then the thing mostly won't load until they're done typing. The final code, including styling, is here. Okay. So we create the search query, expecting an argument of search query that will also be our query. We also have a regular query to fetch all items if the search is an empty string, and also to initially load the app with all the data. We create an initial state setting search query to an empty string. OnChange will not call the search function itself. It will instead call the handleFilter function, passing in the value of the input as the argument. HandleFilter will call the onSearch function passed down to our component as props, passing in the filter of the search. We use dbounce to only execute if they haven't typed. If the app's loading, we show a searching message. If there are no search results, we display a message letting the user know there were no results. So we don't want to do this all query thing. So I think this is pretty similar to what we're doing. Well, it's not pretty similar to what we're doing now. Okay, we don't need to save that anymore. So let's look at what we're doing. So this is a pretty general... I'm going to actually make a new Trello card for this because this kind of deserves its own thing. So this is a handle searching dynamically. I'm going to write... Is that how you spell dynamically? Yep. Okay. Right. For our lone search component right now, game search, we're fetching all of the games on the server and filtering those by name locally. This isn't sustainable when we have when we have a bunch of games. This isn't sustainable, I guess, after we fill up the database with a bunch of games. To remedy this, searches need to search to execute the appropriate query whenever searches need to execute the appropriate query whenever a user types in something. Great, that's what we're doing now. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and change my current test to this. Nice. So I think we can make a general search component for this that does this basically. So, oh, excuse me. So let's talk about what that entails, basically. So for a general component here, what's going on, Jaxie? No, I just sucked air down the wrong tube. I swear. Unless I've been coughing more and haven't noticed it? I don't know, though. My throat's a little sore too, but that's not related as far as I know. So for a general search component, we need so we'll need basically a query to execute. You need a function that renders the autocomplete items. What else? A function that handles selecting an autocomplete item. Is that it? You just have to have the query. Yeah, I think that's it. Because the query is going to keep getting executed. We have to have a function. Yeah, I think that seems right. Oh, mod view is trippy. I haven't looked at it. I saw the announcement for that. It looks pretty cool. I was like into the idea. Oh, this is not going to work. It's not going to format correctly. Beautiful. Okay. What are we gonna call this? A search? Let's call it a searcher, baby. I was supposed to be doing a hot potato save game thing today, but one person before me hasn't uploaded the files. Wait, what is a hot potato save game? I don't know what that means, but I'm glad you're well. Okay. Searcher props. So we need a query to execute. I don't know what type that is. Gamester Trapper, this is of type document node. Search query is document node. We need on render result item, which takes this is a function returns jsx.element, I believe. Here, we're using it here in the game search, so I can just kind of go through. It takes some params object. Render item takes, so it's based on the data. So this actually is going to need to be so params should be item and index. So item is of type whatever this item is, and then index is a number. You're a real good typer? I am absolutely not. I need to work on it. It's really bad. I feel like my accuracy can be improved a lot. You pass the save file for the game in between people and try and keep the colony alive doing RimWorld. The person that gets the colony killed loses? Oh, amazing. That's actually incredible. How long do you have? Like, how long does each person get? That's a really neat idea, though. I like that a lot. The result item returns that. Returns a react.react node. I don't actually know if that matters, but just to keep things consistent. Four streamers doing it, so 6 to 8 hours. Oh, awesome. That's super cool. That's very neat. Okay, what else do we need? A function that handles selecting an autocomplete item. So on items, or on result select, I guess. Is going to be... we already actually kind of have this in game search. So it's whatever type the data is, and it returns void. Is that all we need here? I'm having trouble believing that. Game search wrapper just needs... Yeah, I think that's correct. All right. So let's go ahead and return autocomplete. So we've got a few items to fill out here. Render item is the big one. So render item, we're going to take item index. Why is this yelling at me? Item unknown, index number. Object may only specify known properties and item does not exist. Okay, well. Preems, and then it should run. I need to make the props here. I can probably just do this. Okay, so the problem is here, though, actually. Now that I'm thinking about this. So searchers need to know... The searcher props requires an item template, right? Because it has to... It has to know what type of items it's getting. How do we pass that item into a component? So if you're calling a searcher, how do you tell it what type of searcher you want? How does that work? TypeScript template, which is with React. Template variables, maybe will give me better. I know what I want, but I don't know how to describe it. What I want is... Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Out of the box, transfer your files. Blah, blah, blah. You can still provide an interface for React components props and state via React component prop state, which will provide type checking and editor auto completing when working with that component in JSX. I've never used React.fc. I didn't know that's how you specify it now with functional components. So I'm doing that incorrectly. Well, I mean, my way's working, but React's documentation on TypeScript, custom path aliases. Don't really care about that. React's documentation on TypeScript. Already. Type definitions, local decorations. React and Webpack. Lay out the project, write some code. Extends React component hello props. Okay, I know what I want to do, and I don't know how to do it. So what we're gonna do, can I set a default there? Okay, so again, to verbalize what I'm trying to do here that I don't actually know how to do is I basically want this to be a very general search component, and the only thing it needs to know is what type of item you have. So what I want to do is basically allow the user to pass in items as a prop, I assume, right? Because that's the only way we're going to be able to do that. But I don't know how to take it. I don't know how to basically say, okay, based on this prop, build the rest of my types around that. I don't know how to infer that. So to get around that for now, I'm just setting item to be equal to any. This is like a pretty TypeScript specific thing that like my app will still work if I don't do this, but it'll just be better typing if I figured this out. So I'm just not gonna worry about it for now. That's what I'm doing. I need to leave a note here so I don't forget about it to do have the type of the item be figured out via a prop called item type or something. Okay. So I think it's like a pretty weird case that may not even work, but yeah, that's what I'm doing here. So render result item frames. What else do we need for autocompletes? An array with suggested items to be rendered in render item. So for data right now, we've got nothing. What else do I have on? I'm using this in game search. Let's go and see how I'm using it now. Autofocus true, default value, query, on change text, set query. So let's go ahead and sort of yank this for now. So I've already done styles and stuff for this, so so we can go ahead and delete data here. We can go ahead and import styles. Oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Styles can be done from there, and then we can also go ahead and get set query. What is going on here? Set query is from oh, set query is from use state. That's why I was like, what? Okay, so I don't think I can directly use. Well, let's set this up. Const query set query is equal to use state with a string, and then use state we can import. Great. Okay. So whenever someone changes text, we need to wait till they're done typing. Then we need to fire off a GraphQL query. Is there a different article that does this? Because that one does it with the AWS App Sync, which I don't care about. Filter query results / search queries. What is Hasura? That is an alternative to Apollo? Hasura is an open source engine that connects to your databases and microservices and auto-generates a production-ready GraphQL backend. Oh. That's kind of cool. Easily evolve using 8,000 queries to 750 megabits of RAM. What? Can I run this myself? That's kind of fucking neat. It's probably overkill though. I don't need to do it right now. Development and testing using TypeScript, testing React. Performance. I think I just need to read this documentation better. I think this is very easy for me to do. Okay, I'm gonna go to the bathroom again real quick. I have to pee really bad. I've been drinking a lot of water. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Then we're gonna try and figure this out. Sorry, this isn't as much me building things, but I really need to like, grok this better. And I feel like I'm going in blind right now. And I am not fully understanding what's going on. So I need to work through that so I know what's going on. Because this is a pretty critical piece of infrastructure, it feels like. So yeah, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for sticking around, y'all. Alrighty. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, that was my phone. Okay, so first, what I need to do, I think, before I do any of this, I think I'm getting too ahead of myself. What I'm doing is I'm trying to create this general thing, but I don't even know how to do it in a singular case. So what I'm going to do is basically switch the game search I have right now that works to be using this new system, essentially. So what I need to do basically is first we need to make a query on our backend. First things first, before any of this shit. On Tabltop server, we need to go ahead and make a new query. So we have a query for all games, get game. So let's just say, let's call it search games. How does that work? Let's go ahead and do this. Prerequisites, executing a query. So this is with the client, so let's go ahead and go to the server real quick. So defining a schema basics. Let's go ahead and make sure I'm doing all this correctly. Type author, the query type. And query type defines exactly which GraphQL queries. So it just returns the return data. So the query is search games, and it's going to just return an array of games. Okay. Now we're going to need to resolve this. So we have our resolvers here, as we have search games. So we need to add parameters to this. So for right now, it's just going to return games because that'll work always. But we need to handle arguments. So let's say our server defines the slightly longer schema. So also get schemas, supported types, query-driven schema design. I don't know what they mean by that. Do not have a set of key value pairs attached to a specific field. Arguments be literal values or variables. An ID is an argument to the query. Yeah, so I need to look this up. So GraphQL query arguments. I learned about this when I did my GraphQL workshop, but it's been so long I haven't really used it that hard to know. Queries and mutations, great. So arguments. The only thing we could do is transverse objects in their fields. GraphQL would be a very useful language, but when you add the ability to pass arguments, things get much more interesting. So in a system like REST, you can only pass single set arguments for the query parameters and URL segments in your request. But in GraphQL, every field and nested object can get its own set of arguments, making GraphQL a complete replacement for making multiple API fetches. So arguments can be of many different types. In the above example, we've used an enumeration type. Aliases. Here, this is more what I want. Yeah. The arguments, it feels to be dynamic. Okay. So this is the query. It's got so we're just searching. How do I define that though? how do I define that it has arguments, right? Because that's not. I don't know why I'm struggling with this right now. Type system, object types and fields. Okay, so I do actually just put it there. So I give it the name of the argument, which in this case is, we'll just say query. It's of type string. And then the default is, we'll say empty, I guess. I don't know if that matters. Maybe we don't need to define a default. And that returns an array of games. Okay, so now when we're using Apollo's server, we have search games. We have. Does this show up? Do we get a query? Do I get a query variable? Games.filter. Let's go ahead and do filter where game. So game dot name contains includes. Returns true if a search string appears as a substring and the result of converting this object to a string one or more positions. Okay, so includes query. So that's a pretty simple filter. So now we can go ahead and test this out locally before we go ahead and dive into that. So we get GraphQL Playground here. So we want to do Dark Reader's working on this. And I was like, why isn't this working? Okay, so search games. Oh, so sorry. We need to restart the GraphQL. We need to rebuild and restart the GraphQL server before we do this. So this should be yarn build. And then yarn start. Great. Now refresh this. Search games. Why isn't this working? So this, I use that. Oh, is it case sensitive? So let me make sure that that parameter is getting passed. Console.log query. Okay, so I need to change need to restart the server, yarn build, and yarn start. It's undefined. Okay, so how do parameters get passed here in the resolver? Apollo server. Resolvers. Defining a resolver. Handling arguments. Need to resolve for the user field. Parent args context info. Oh, okay. Can optionally accept 4 positional arguments. Learn more about these arguments. The args argument is an object that contains all GraphQL arguments we provided for the field by the GraphQL observation. Okay, so parent args. So then here should be includes args.query. Great, and then we'll need to go ahead and do this again. Great, that worked. I need to make this lowercase, or like this won't work because it needs to be lowercase. Okay, I think that should work. I'm just turning both of them into lowercase. Sorry, sneeze. Turning both of them into lowercase before searching, so hopefully that should work. Cool. Sure, W works. Great. All right, so now so if I do query, test query, so I should be able to do this, I think, and now I can do query variables. Here should be query is wing. Syntax error, expected name found $. Schemas and types, arguments, scalar types. I need variables. Query, am I not doing this correctly then? A query, the name of the query. I'll be honest, I'm not sure why mine's not working. Return query mutation here. Oh, is it just because I had to do that? Yeah, okay. That worked. Prettify. Okay, so I have a test query. I can pass it a string, and then it'll search for games based on that string. And return the name of the name of the game. Excuse me. Okay, so that works. That's basic, I think. That's pretty much all I care about right now. Yeah, so I think that's fine. So these aren't typed. There we go, I can type that at least. The resolvers have a type, I wonder. I bet you I could type that better. I don't think it matters that much. So now we can search based on a query. Great, that's the first part of this done. So now we need to make a query that does that. So get games right now, we should do search games. With query equal to, I don't know how we define this query. So now this is the question on Apollo. How do we make on Apollo Client React, how do we fetch data and how do we use How do we use variables? That's all we're looking for here. Caching query results. Query dog is a breed. Give us that. Use query, get dog photo. And then we pass the second thing, the variables. Okay, so what we do here is the same as what we did before, basically. So this should be query get games, and then query. So this is literally just a straight GraphQL thing. So query is going to be a string, and then we define that, and then this is going to be query. Great. And then when we run get games, we go ahead and run, we give it variables, and then query is going to be equal to, we don't have a variable for that yet, but that's there. So right now, actually, let's go ahead and just give this a test value real quick to test this. So this should just have wingspan. Is the app dead? Let's go ahead and rerun it again real quick. Let's just try restarting it. I'm sort of glad we're getting into the hard part of things, but also like it's a little rough, especially on stream, just because I feel like in order to like fully try and vocalize what I'm trying to think about here can be a bit tough. So thank you for having patience with me here. Life gets hard is what I'm trying to say. Oh, this build is taking 10 years. Thanks, man. I'm trying. It's just tough. I'm in a part right now where I've made enough of a crack to where the easy stuff is done, and now I'm just like lolling in the oh holy shit, I have so many things to figure out and I don't know how to do any of it part of the app building. So that's fun. This is normally the part where I stop and give up though, so we're doing good. Oh my god, it's taking 10 years, y'all. Alrighty, we are back and working again. Oh, undefined is not an object? Oh yikes, that's like a horribly undefined state we're in right now. RTC bridge requires dispatch sync to load RTC dev loading view. This may lead to deadlocks. I don't know what that means. Okay, so let's just find a game. The component will receive props has been renamed and is not recommended for use. Okay, so we need the React Dev Tools open. Excuse me. Ooh, that was loud. Update available. So we're gonna, if we do that, stop debugging. There we go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna add a check in here. Runtime is not ready for debugging. Oh, that's fine, I think. So now we're here at the game search. So now the game should have What is this getting? This has a empty array. So what we can go ahead and do is basically check our GraphQL query to make sure everything looks correct. So we can actually just copy this. This is the beautiful part about GraphQL here, right? Is that we can just copy this, throw it in our local host, and then query is, what did I set it to be? It said to be wing. So this works, presumably. Oh, where are we using data? Oh, we're using data games, not data search games. That's why. But I do like that we're able to just, it's pretty easy to verify that your query is correct, because it's literally, you can just copy and paste it really easily. Okay, so now that should work. So let's go ahead and reload the app. So it has wingspan, and it doesn't have scythe. Yeah. So that means it's worked. It works with the query. So that's the first part of this done. So the next part here is that we need to start recalling the query. So basically what we need to have happen here is we need to have const query set query equal to use state string start as an empty string, and this query is going to go ahead and use query. So we can actually just shorten this like that. So now whenever we need to pass another thing down to where on text change is what we can call it for now. On text change, we're expecting new query, which is going to be a type string. And then after that comes back, what we're going to go ahead and do is run set query with that new query string. Great. So this isn't implemented at all right now, which is why it's yelling at me. So let's go ahead and get that implemented in game search. So I think I called it on text change, right? New query, which is a type string, and it returns void. Okay, so now on text change, we're setting query. So I should now be passing. Should I be passing the query in via props now? I think so. I think this is accurate. So now here query should be, I'm basically changing where this is getting handled. So this should now be on text change, which I forgot to add here. Okay, so let's see if that works. I think I kind of bullshit that a little. So what we're doing now is where the logic of handling how the query updates is now in the wrapper instead of the search component itself is what we've changed there. If that works, that is. So that's dismissed. So holy shit, it works. You can't tell because there's no network requests. Fuck yeah. Okay, cool. That's actually pretty inspiring. So we can actually go ahead and see this in action. So if we look at game search wrapper, so query is, we don't care about that right now. Our hooks, we care about state. So now we type in W is wingspan. You notice that state's getting changed, and then that state's getting pumped into our query, which I don't know if you can tell. You can't really look at the thing, but basically that's making requests, but it's also caching the requests too. So if you notice, there's not a it only starts to flicker when we start typing in new things. So now we can type scythe and there's no flicker because it's cached all that. Fuck yeah. Okay, that's pretty easy actually. Thank you, Apollo, for handling most of that. Cool. So what's next there? So now we need to basically just make sure that this happens after. So we need to do a debounce. So this is included in Lodash. Debounce function JS. So a debounce basically is saying that we're waiting a certain amount of time to call a function. So it's somewhat... So there's some amount of complexity here, so I probably shouldn't write my own. So what I'm probably going to do is go ahead and add a Lodash, which is basically a utility library for JavaScript. It does a bunch of like functional things, essentially. It's a really neat library. Oh, okay. I thought Dark Reader was completely destroying it. So they should have a debounce function, which should do this. Creates a debounce function that delays invoking function until after wait milliseconds have elapsed since the last time the debounce function was invoked. The debounce function comes with a cancel method to cancel delayed func invocations and a flush method to immediately invoke them. Provide options to indicate whether func should be invoked on the leading and or trailing edge of the wait timeout. The func is invoked to the last arguments provided to the debounce function. Subsequent calls to the debounce function return the result of the last func invocation. So let me make sure I'm understanding the parameters here. So the function to debounce, the number of milliseconds delay, the options object. Options that leading is false, specify invoking on the leading edge of the timeout, or the maximum time func is allowed. I don't understand the trail versus leading, but the func is invoked to the last arguments provided the debounce function. Subsequent calls. Anyway, we know the difference between throttle is that throttle will invoke immediately, but will only invoke X amount of seconds, whereas debounce waits for the first invocation, which is what we want. So we need to go ahead and add Lodash. So we need to get CD into Tabltop. This text is really small, and I apologize. Yarn add Lodash. So now we need to import from Lodash. Oh, does Lodash not have types? Oh, I have to install types too. Yarn add types Lodash as well for TypeScript support. Okay, so now here we go ahead and do debounce. We debounce on text change. Okay, and then we do we do a weight, a number. Let's try 150 and see how that feels. Yeah, I think that seems right. Not working at all. I don't think it's working. It is milliseconds, right? Number of milliseconds to delay. How do I pass? I guess I'm confused as to how I'm supposed to ask arguments to it. Oh, wait a second. I make a function. Hold on. I'm doing this incorrectly, I think. So this basically returns a function. I think that's actually how I'm supposed to do it. So the debounce returns a function that can only get called 150 times, and then you call that. I think that's right. Let's go and reload here. Yeah. Oh, that's eating input. Oh, no. Okay, I'm debouncing the wrong thing. So basically, I shouldn't be debouncing here. So this should just be on change text. On text change should invoke immediately. What should happen is that on the wrapper, on text change, where are we debouncing this? The query should only fire every 150 milliseconds after. So after a re-render, this should take 150 seconds to... That seems odd. The system I have right now doesn't really work well for what I'm trying to do here. Can I literally just... Can I do const limited use query equals lodash debounce use query? We'll say 150. Then we'll use limited. Limited use query. Okay. We just need import lodash. Okay, maybe this works. Undefined is not an object. No, that doesn't work. I don't know if there's a good way to do this. Maybe I just don't worry about it right now. Like, for now, this seems fine. I was like, as long as it's not... fact that the bar gets replaced with loading is kind of bad. Like, this isn't ideal, so the... basically, we should, I think, always have this. And then we just have the loading overlay displayed side by side. Does that work? Loading overlay or no. Why is this? Objects is possibly undefined. There we go. Yeah, why? It's basically, it's hard because I need to simulate the loading taking longer, but it is removing the search bar whenever that happens. Like if we start typing, see like the loading just like kind of bops the search bar? That shouldn't happen. Like, the autocomplete should always be showing, right? Like, I don't understand why it's getting... I can set loading, right? Oh, it's because I didn't delete this. Never mind. I'm a dummy. That was the reason. Okay. Okay, so now I should be able to do... Yeah, so now the loading shows up there. So if it's not loading and there are no results, I should... Right, so if we start typing a bunch of gibberish, there's loading, we should say there's no results also. So if not loading... Well, here, let's just make that, maybe what that looks like. So if, so let... So if we're not loading, and we have, and one of the following has to be true. We either don't have data, or we have data, and we have data.searchgames. And this is such a long thing. Data.searchgames.length is equal to 0. Oh, here, I should separate this out, actually. So if we're not loading and we either don't have data or... Well, actually, here, this is two separate things. If we're not loading, we're going to go ahead and check for empty results. If we have data and we have data dot if data. So if the data is there and the length is less than or equal to 0, that's a stupid condition. If the length is equal to 0, then we go ahead and set results error equal to text. No results found. Results error should either be, I need to type this. Is it React Node or null? I think it's accurate. We always display results error. In that statement, are you checking if the variable data is set to true? Yes. So yeah, JavaScript's kind of wonky compared to some other things where it does automatic type conversion to booleans. Like from what I understand, a lot of languages don't do that. Should be a single or. Yeah, so this is the equivalent of me saying if data, and JavaScript also has triple equals, which is dumb, so just ignore that. This is the equivalent of me saying if data is equal to true. But if you notice, this will say this condition will always return false. Oh yeah, it's because Boolean. So yeah, so yes, I'm checking for its existence. So else if not data. So if we don't have data at all, then we. Actually, that just should be a second condition here. So if we have data and the length is length is equal to 0, aka no results, or if we just don't have data, then we go ahead and say we haven't found anything. Okay, I think that's correct. Okay, let's go and reload. We need to style that, it looks like. Okay, yep, cool, that works. So we're just going to go ahead and style those. Need a bigger text, match the background color. Excuse me. Yeah, let's go ahead and make just a generic style for that. So search failure text is what that's going to be. Can I do the background color on that? I don't remember what the background color in the app is. Where do I set that? It's probably this. Background color, font size is 18. This is kind of confusing because it's not actually an error, but Do I really have to import this before it gets autocomplete? Search failure text. Yes, that's a bit of a confusing name. Oh wait, doesn't the error overlay literally do this? Yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't actually do the same thing. Okay, it needs to have padding and be centered, basically. So that should be, so if it's in a view, this should be in its own view also. So views have columns by default, so this should be line. Line content center. Does React Native support fragments? Let's find out. That was the issue here with the background color, was that Oh, Sunny. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Hold on 1 second. Hi, Bubba. Right. It's only 3 o'clock. You don't need food already? What? Oh, Jesus. Never mind. It's almost 4. Sorry. We have a hungry cat. Hello. I'm sorry. I guess it is 4. I apologize for not being considerate of your starving. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scoot forward, baby. I'm sorry. Hello. You gonna sit on my lap? You're just gonna be inconvenient. Hi, baby. You make it hard to get work done. Thank you. Ooh. He is super lovey to me whenever it is near food time. That's about it, though. Okay. Did that help at all? Need to center you, text. Hi, baby. Stop. Looking for game search wrapper. Is this the touchable text? Oh, weird. Okay, I don't actually know how text works. No results found. Style. Background color. React Native style editor. RCT view. Align content center. It'll align item. It's just align self. Oh yeah, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's the outer div. Yep. Align self center because we're aligning it all in the bigger flex. Hi, Bubba. What's up? How you doing? It's hard to see with the webcam where it's at right now, but he's just rubbing his head against my hands as I'm trying to type, which is making it very difficult. And I love you, Bubba. Oh, you're a good kitty cat. You're a good kitty cat, but you're a pain in the butt. All right. What's it doing here? Oh, yeah. And then there's some padding on that bish. Nice. Even more padding. It's all the advice I've heard is put more padding on it than you think you need to. Great, so now we just type in random crap. No results found, baby. We should change the loading to do the same thing. Style should be align self, center. That didn't work. Align self center. Padding top should be 20. Oh, this is an error overlay. That's why. I want it to be on a loading overlay. I can copy that same style object over. So we are simply doing the same thing. Great. So now if we do this, great, our loading's there. We should probably replace that with an icon at some point, but yeah, cool. That's like a big improvement so far, actually. I know it seems like not that much, but this is pretty helpful. So I don't think we're using Lodash anymore, actually. Import div for Lodash. Are we using it anywhere? No. So for right now, we can remove the Lodash additions, as well as these, because we're not doing that. Align center. Okay. Add dynamic searching. We'll get rid of searcher because that's not ready to do anything yet. All right, add dynamic searching to game search. Cool. We'll go and push that up. Oh, okay. So we have dynamic searching in one case, so now we need to export it basically into a general component so we can use it everywhere. But I think that feels pretty good. That is doing what it's supposed to do. So now you can actually search things as opposed to just pulling all the games in. And it does work when you actually click on it. Cool. Awesome. Well, it has been nearly 4 hours. And I feel like this is a good stopping point. I made a decent amount of chunk of progress today. I'll also probably be streaming tomorrow morning as well. I want to work on it some more. So excluding anything crazy happening, I should be back on tomorrow at some point, probably around the same time, to be honest. Yeah, I think that's it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying what you're seeing and you've not already, please consider following the channel. You'll get notified whenever I go live. That sort of deal. I'm also on Twitter if you're interested there at all. I still don't think I've added a Twitter command. This will take me 2 seconds, and I will never do it probably. But yeah, so, and if you're, I'll post updates about the app and that sort of thing there as well. I need to get better about doing that. As I work on it more, I think things will start coming together more. Yeah, I think that's about all I got. Thanks everyone for hanging out today. Spending another good stream. Gotten some more work done. So yeah, hope everyone has a great rest of your Saturday, and we'll hopefully see you tomorrow.